I think it's certainly going to be front and center. One of the biggest stories this offseason is what's going to happen with Pete Alonso, who becomes a free agent. And so, Garrett, do you have any inkling or sense or how you would like this to play out along those lines?
Well, you said it's going to be the biggest story of the postseason. It's been the biggest story for 2 years now. People have been talking about it since the trade deadline last season. And again, moving toward the trade deadline this season. And again, coming down the stretch of this season. It's been a topic of conversation continually about Pete Alonso's future with the Mets. This is what I know. I know that Pete Alonso would like to stay a Met. I know that the Mets would like to keep Pete Alonso. I know that Scott Boras is an agent who likes to get top dollar in the market, and I'm sure Pete Alonso would like to get top dollar in the market. How it plays out, I think, is anybody's guess, but I think that my gut feeling is there's a better than even chance that Pete Alonso remains a New York Met.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that because I'm as perplexed as everybody else out there. And I think the way you laid it out is exactly right. Scott Boras is going to make sure that there's a market out there for Pete Alonso and that that market is explored. I do think that Pete, during the course of this season, I think he felt some of this coming to fruition. I think he felt that there could be potentially an end in sight to his time in Queens. I also do know personally from Pete that he loves playing in New York City. He loves being a part of this city. He loves the fan base, and he would love to remain a part of this organization. Whether that happens, I don't know. I think Steve and Alex Cohen and David Stearns have a lot of discussions to make and a lot of negotiations with Boras, who I think is also always a little bit of an X factor. I think one more X factor might be the emergence of Mark Vientos. And I say that only in the sense that coming into this season, there was really nobody else that you could say, okay, we could potentially stay within the organization and have somebody anchor over at first base that could be a prolific RBI guy, hitter, and fielder that is at least, of Pete's ilk defensively. Now with Mark, you could certainly see if, in fact, the Mets wanted to do it, that there's opportunities at third base with a Beatty, or we've talked about Ronnie Mauricio, who knows where he's going to shake out, and some of the other guys in the minor leagues, so that you do have some optionality. So whether that comes into it or not, I don't know, but I think that's a little bit of a different scenario than maybe we thought about early in the season. Gary.
You know, I think that in past situations like this, sentimentality played a centerpiece. When David Wright signed his last contract with the Mets, it was as much about how much he meant to the organization as it was about his on-field prowess. And I think that'll play a little role here, but not as big a role, because David Stearns doesn't have as much invested in Pete Alonso, relatively new to the organization. But I will say this. The fact that they have Mark Vientos, who could move to first base, and that they have Ronnie Mauricio, who everybody forgets about, who was going to be the third baseman this year had he not blown out his knee in winter ball, I think that gives the Mets a little more leverage than they would otherwise have to say to Pete, we'd love to have you. You'd be a great piece for us to keep. We really want you here. But you know what? If the price is too high and you can get more money somewhere else, we have other options. So I think all of that is about negotiation as much as anything. And I think that you'd rather keep the asset and have the bat of Pete Alonso for the next 5, 6, however many years we're talking about.